Good morning, and welcome to the regular session of the Yuma County Board of Supervisors. Also sitting as special taxing districts,
Getting an echo.
June 3rd, 2024, 9 a.m. We'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. And can we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Supervisor Lyons, can you please lead it?
Please join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh,
Getting feedback.
We got some reverberation.
The sound echo is a special treat.
Special fix.
Radio Gallo.
Again, welcome. Good morning. We'll go ahead and move on to thoughts of the public, and I have quite a few speaker points. I'll try to keep them in the order that I got them, but we'll go ahead and start with Michelle Headington.
Good morning.
Good morning, Michelle.
Thank you to these ladies. I've stepped up a couple of times, and those little girls were so patient with their moving their little feet, so thank you. So, good morning, everybody, and I'm Michelle Headington, the Senior Vice President of Marketing for Yuma Regional Medical Center. Been with Yuma Regional for 32 years, and I was born there in the olden days when it was still Parkview Baptist Hospital. So I'm eager here today to give you an update on the migrant situation. We've been here previously. I also want to extend regrets on behalf of our CEO, Robert Trenchel, who is traveling today, unfortunately, but we wanted to make sure that we could bring you an update today, so I'll be providing that for you. So our migrant situation today is less than at the time of the surge, and however, the complexities of these patients remain consistent with those treated during the surge that began in December of 2021. From the months of August 2023 to March of 2024, the end of March 2024, YMC has treated 89 migrants who arrived without Border Patrol, totaling a little over $2 million in charges. To date, we received approximately $15,000 in reimbursement for these patients. During the same period, 15 migrants were treated in labor delivery. In the emergency room of the last quarter, volumes in the ED are approximately 15 a month, indicating some impact from previous attempts to slow the number of entrants into Yuma County. At one point, our emergency department was seeing over 200 refugees a month. For migrants whose patients are admitted, those migrants are admitted to the hospital are often quite ill, and at times have been hospitalized for over a month. For a nurse at the bedside, every patient receives the same care. That same compassion, the same level of attention needed to ensure their best recovery, just as we do for every patient. Our care team follows CMS guidelines, delivering safe patient care for all patients, and migrants who arrive have no resources. They often have no money, no clothing, no food, and it's been a tough journey for them. On a safe discharge for patients is always our focus, and the discharge process for migrants is often complex, requiring extensive support of resources before they can be discharged. Things like walkers and oxygen, car seats must be coordinated in advance. For migrants who are on kidney dialysis, a safe discharge also means ensuring that their next dialysis is scheduled before they leave our site to the next location. With the next location, often that will be in Phoenix or wherever their sponsoring family is, and so the coordination of that care can take several hours, sometimes even days. 15 migrants presented labor delivery between August of 23 and March of 2024 to give you an idea of kind of what we're seeing now. I will say on behalf of our Yuma community, we owe it to our patients in our community to look for solutions that ensure that we can continue to care for this community. We appreciate the support of our Senators Kelly and Sinema, along with our governor and you as our county leaders, as we all navigate this challenging situation. As this community's acute care hospital, we are 24/7 to provide care to anyone who presents with emergent medical need. As a nonprofit healthcare provider, every dollar we collect is reinvested back into our community in the way of care. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Michelle.
Burnham Moore.
Hello, my name is Vernon Moore. I'm the Chief Financial Officer at Yuma Regional Medical Center. I want to give you an update on the migrant surge and the cost of care during December of 2021 and December of 2022. During that time, we provided over $26 million in gross charges, which equates to about $6 million in cost to YRMC. Now, when a migrant arrives at the hospital under the care of Border Patrol, U.S. Marshal, or some other federal or state agency, we can actually go back and bill that agency for the migrant care. However, if the migrant arrives without any means of payment, such as they arrive in a taxi, someone drops them off there, or if an agency just drops them off the hospital, we cannot bill anybody. During that time, we were stuck with a situation of not being able to bill anyone. We went to federal agencies, to the state agency, and explained the situation. During the spring of 2023, we had many meetings with federal and also with state representatives in the governor's office and with AXIS, they're the state Medicaid agency, to explain our situation. During the summer of 2023, we were actually given the authority to use the hospital's address as the address for these migrants, because under ACCESS rules, Medicaid rules, you have to have a physical address to be able to be billed. These people were obviously passing through the state. They had no address. So once we were given that authority to go back and bill, unfortunately, we're not able to do anything, because under Medicaid rules, you can only go back 180 days to qualify someone for Medicaid. Since this was the summer of 2023, all the people who came during December of 2021 through 22 had already timed out. We couldn't go back and bill. So as of today, we've still not been reimbursed for that $26 million in gross charges. And once again, going forward, we can do it, but going back, we've not been able to do that. So as of right now, YRMC has basically had to eat those costs. So
Thank you. Yeah, we have Representative Tim Dunn. Welcome.
Good morning, Chairman. Good morning, fellow supervisors. Thank you for having us, for having me here to speak. First, I want to thank you. Mr. Lyons wasn't here, but I want to thank you for your votes when you appointed me in 2018. I hope I've been able to rise to your expectations, and look forward to serving you as I go into the Senate the next year. So continue to work with you and appreciate that.
You would have said no.
He wasn't here.
It wasn't here. You should address me.
I'm just glad you're still talking to us. Yeah.
So we appreciate that. And I want to address, we have some colleagues of mine in the audience. We have my fellow seatmate, Representative Carbone, is your representative. We have Michelle Pena from Yuma, LD23 representative. We have the leadership of the Republicans in the House. We have Speaker Ben Toma, Leo Biasucci, and Teresa Martinez. We have the Judiciary Chair, Quan Nguyen. We have the Commerce Chair, Justin Wilmoth. And we have Vice Chair of Government, John Gillette. All here, my colleagues from the House. So we're here to kind of...
Gail, what about Gail?
I'm sorry, Natural Resource Energy? Yeah. Water boss, and it's the most important for Yuma County, is Natural Resources, Energy and Water Chair. And she does a great job championing water issues, especially here for Yuma County. So we're looking at what the impacts of the border. Some of us were in Cochise County last Thursday and Friday. Speaker Toma invited the whole House, everybody to come down to do a tour here. We have meetings with Amberley's Place and a roundtable a little later to try to figure out what the impacts are on the community for what's going on the border. We do have a bill that we're going to be working on and voting on and debating tomorrow, HCR 2060. And Mr. Toma is going to talk about what that bill does. I'm going to talk about what that bill doesn't do. That bill does not allow for racial profiling. That bill does not allow law enforcement to come in and try to pull people over. They have to have knowledge. They have to know and be able to prove that they saw them coming across. We have evidence that they were coming across through video cameras. And so that's what the bill does not allow to have racial profiling. The bill does not allow people who died from fentanyl overdoses, accidental fentanyl overdoses, to come back. Like my cousin's daughter, Audra Kissel, like my brother-in-law's son, Patrick, what's what was my brother-in-law's name?
I know that feeling.
Dan Bouchard,
Thank you.
Patrick Bouchard. So these, they had accidental overdoses. This bill will not bring them back, but this bill will work on fentanyl stuff. So we're here to learn what's going on for the county. We appreciate our work with the county. We're in budget negotiations. This have major impacts statewide, and we're trying to do our due diligence. And I'll defer the rest of the time to our other speakers to tell you what the bill does do. Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Speaker Ben Toma.
Mr. Chairman, Supervisors, thank you for having us and for hosting us today. As my colleague, Representative Tim Dunn, has stated, it's very important for us to be here and to physically see what's actually happening and to talk to some of the members of the community, including, as he said, Amberley's Place, and then the hospital, after which we're going to have a little roundtable and some lunch. Looking forward to that part. I will just say that what does the bill do? And I think it's important for you to know, is that since I am the sponsor of the bill 2060, it's important for you to know the intent. First of all, I would like to say that I am an immigrant myself. And as such, I think it's important that you know that, and that it's very important, as Tim said, this is not about racial profiling. As a matter of fact, the standard in the bill for one part of the bill has to do with probable cause, which is very different than reasonable suspicion, which is what in many cases, legally, that's what's been alleged about the bill. But it's simply not there in the way it's written. Second piece of the bill has to do with fentanyl, as was also mentioned, and that has to do with much tougher standards on those that sell fentanyl pills and that import fentanyl pills from Mexico that end up killing so many people. I think, I don't know what it is statewide, but I'll have to look that up. But I know that in Maricopa County, we're losing 5 to 6 a day now to accidental fentanyl overdoses, which is just unconscionable that that's happening. We need to do something. We need to add teeth to that statute, and that's exactly what this is going to do. And then thirdly, it's going to have to do with benefits and tightening those that want to come here illegally and get on public benefits, in part because there is a major cost to this. And so I want to touch on this piece as well. It tightens E-Verify. It also forces all government entities to use the SAVE program, which is a federal program to ensure that the people that are applying have a legal right to do so. Let's talk about cost for a moment. I know that's a concern, and I've heard that's a concern for yourself and for the sheriffs. Let me just say, our intent is to add another tool to the toolbox. It's not to force anything upon anyone. It's to add tools to the toolbox and to help us stop some of the unconscionable things that are happening outside of fentanyl, like the human trafficking and sex trafficking and all kinds of awful things that happen that we've heard about. And I know you know more than us because you're here in the community and you're here on the border. So it's intended to do that. And I can tell you, I won't be in the legislature come next session, but I know most of my colleagues that are here will be, and I believe all will be. And I know that they're going to fight for making sure that you have the resources from a budget standpoint to make sure that you make full use of the toolbox that hopefully we're offering you. So happy to try to, well, not in this context, but at some point try to answer any questions, and feel free to reach out to me personally. I would love to meet with any of you that have concerns, and we can talk through some details. But I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you once again.
Thank you. I'm going to butcher this name. Kwang Nguyen? Nguyen?
Thank you. Sort of like who wins or lose. Anyway, thank you, members, for allowing me to be here today to express a couple of things. Last night was really an eye-opening experience for me to be able to see what's happening at the actual border. And I'm not sure how this can be sustainable at all, year through year like this. Mr. Speaker actually touched on a little bit on the fentanyl deal. And we're looking at over 100,000 Americans every year being killed, poisoned by fentanyl. And if you don't know me, back in 2021, I started working on the fentanyl bill. It's called the Ashley Dunn Act. And it literally took me 3.5 years to get this governor to sign it, so I'm very grateful. So it's called House Bill 2245. House Bill 2245 actually will criminalize you with the minimum sentencing of 5 years mandatory if you carry 200 grams or more of fentanyl. I think that's another toolbox. The word toolbox, Mr. Speaker used a few times, and that's what we're looking for. We're looking for a toolbox to allow law enforcement to take care of this fentanyl problem. Just a couple of minutes ago, Sheriff Rhodes texted me, Yavapai County alone recovered over 1 million pills in 2023. Over 1 million pills. According to the DEA, 70% of those pills they contain lethal dose. And that's 700,000 pills. The population of Yavapai County is 247,000 people. Just think about that for a second. So we need to really tighten down, shut down the border. And I would tell you what, if we want to talk about immigration reform, we can talk about it all day long. But until we close the border so we can have a serious conversation, that's what we need to do. And so I'm here for that. On a personal note, I just want to mention that I am a war immigrant. At the fall of Saigon, I came over with 100,000 Vietnamese. And I remember during that time, just about everybody in this country had a heart attack over 100,000 Vietnamese coming. Think about that for a second. That's a drop in the bucket of what's happening today. And I'm very disappointed that this administration refused to acknowledge that we have a problem at the border. So thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you. William Katz.
Good morning.
Hello, everyone. My name is William Katz, in-house counsel, Halls General Contractor, LLC. I'm here to talk about a completely different topic than the previous speakers. I'm here to talk about the Joint Land Use Plan and the 2019 MCAS.
Hold on just a second.
Hold on.
Hang on,
Give it
so
a
you can
second.
let everybody.
We'll give him a.
They have done their duty.
Thank you for allowing me to pause.
Not
from you guys.
Bye, Gail. Take care.
May I proceed?
Go ahead.
Thank you. Again, my name is William Katz, in-house counsel, Halls General Contractor, LLC. I've signed in for both call of the public as well as hopefully being able to discuss something at the budget. For the call of the public presentation and the 3 minutes that I have, I'd like to bring to your attention that currently pending before Yuma County, the city of Yuma, as well as the city of Somerton, is the Joint Land Use Plan. Essentially, that hasn't been revised since 1996. And also importantly, there's the 2019 MCAS AQs, which is at play. I know a couple of the board of supervisors attended the most recent meeting, which was held maybe 2 weeks ago. I'm hopeful to learn about the county's position and how it will be directing staff to include the development department as well as the economic director and the intergovernmental affairs liaison of how we're going to approach this at the county level. This has been a pending issue for a while. The 2019 AQs has been pending since about July of 2019. The comprehensive plan was adopted by the Board of Supervisors in 2022 or 2023, and the general plan of the city of Yuma was adopted in 2022. We need to have a meaningful discussion with the community and the public about how we're going to approach these issues. There was statewide housing reform in the form of HB 2720 and HB 2721. And the headline reads statewide housing reform, ADUs by right, accessory dwelling units, as well as missing middle housing by right in cities greater than 70,000. Missing middle defined as duplexes, triplexes, and townhomes. But some of the inside baseball on that is May 8th of 2024, there was an amendment proposed which essentially exempted out the city of Yuma from meaningful statewide housing reform. And as you may be aware, the Department of the Navy issued a last-minute veto as it relates to the Starter Home Act, which was subsequently vetoed. And that veto request came in March of about 2024. So in May 8th of 2024, the Yuma exception was created, and that's because there is an approach to defining where ADUs and missing middle housing will be allowed. It's not going to be allowed anywhere within the city of Yuma by right. How this was accomplished was there was a last-minute amendment that territory in the vicinity of a military airport is ineligible. And this is important because that definition is procedural in nature. The distinction, of course, is that typically land use controls on development come from the form of noise contours or APZs and clear zones. But this was the first time that territory in the vicinity of a military airport as a definition was used as a restriction and a control. May I have 10 more seconds?
Keep going, please.
What this does is it prohibits ADUs by right and missing middle housing by right 10 miles to the east of the main runway of MCAS and 5 miles to the north, south, and west. This is the first time ever in the history of the military airport statutes that a definition was used as a restriction on people being able to get housing. And we would like to call this to your attention, and I have an opportunity, because I believe it pertains to the budget, to recommend some solutions. May I be heard at the budget when it's called?
Yes, you got another speaker?
Yes. I appreciate everyone's time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Do we have any emails to call to? We don't? Okay. Anybody else from the public wishes to address the board? I'll go ahead and leave the call to the public open, and we'll go ahead and move on to presentations, proclamations, and appointments. And we do have a proclamation. Or you? Yeah. Go ahead.
Ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Proclamation proclaiming the week of June 3, 2024 as Workplace Safety Week in Yuma County. Whereas every day, 340 workers are fatally injured from hazardous working conditions in the United States. More than 4,000 workers are killed and 7 million are injured each year because of workplace accidents. And most accidents and injuries in the workplace are preventable, and employees must be engaged, educated, and aware of unsafe working conditions and unsafe behaviors. And Yuma County safety officers provide safety training and education to workers to identify job hazards and assist with remedies and follow-up, and participate on the Yuma County Safety Committee for problem solving and implementation of corrective actions. And raising safety awareness and participation in safety programs can prevent workplace injuries, reduce worker compensation claims, improve compliance with safety regulations, and increase productivity. And all employees play a role in being actively involved in workplace safety, keeping each other safe while protecting themselves, co-workers, and county property. And the National Safety Council established June as National Safety Month in 1996 to increase safety awareness in the workplace and decrease the number of unintentional injuries and deaths in the United States. And Yuma County encourages all department heads and elected officials to contribute to the safety initiative and help make Yuma County government a healthy and a safe place to work. Now, therefore, the Yuma County Board of Supervisors hereby proclaim the week of June 3 through 7, 2024 to be Workplace Safety Week in Yuma County.
Thank you. And we have Robin Starwood-Kidd to present.
Good morning, Chairman Purchase, members of the board. Yuma County is a leader in the workplace safety overall. Most recently, we have noted a steep decline in costs to our Arizona County's insurance pool for claims, workers' compensation claims associated with Yuma County. That has saved approximately 40% in comparison to the previous fiscal year. We're excited about that. We've successfully reintegrated various programs under one risk management umbrella to expand support throughout the whole organization. We're working on several things. One in particular is enhancements to security, being mindful of providing a safe environment for staff and visitors to our facilities while remaining focused on our number one priority, customer service. I'd like to commend the dedication of this staff in these programs: Monica Escalante with safety, Carlos Marquez with security, and Shauna Toyota with security, as well as our partners to include the administration team, human resources, and departments and offices that have several different safety sensitive positions. most notably the Yuma County Sheriff's Office, Public Works, and Facility, and many others. Everyone has been very supportive of these programs, and we hope to bring them a more expanded program availability through these staff members. Our staff recently adopted the motto, "Protecting Tomorrow Today," recognizing the importance of a resilient and successful future for staff, patrons, and within our facilities and resources that you protect. Thank you, Chairman, members of the board, and we do appreciate the support for these many programs that these staff members work within. So, thank you.
Thank you. We'll come down.
We'll come down and take a picture with the proclamation.
Yeah, safely, come down safely, do not overstep.
Yeah, really, huh?
Be safe.
I need some help
Safety.
getting down there.
Safety. Okay, security. Let's mix it up, security.
Come on right in here.
Feel so safe here. Yeah, I think you gotta do a sideways. So that we can fit in the- This is nice being surrounded by safety. I'm supposed to get the chairman behind you. Safety of the wallet is at stake. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
What you said.
Okay, here we go.
We'll move on to presentation of the Yuma County Quarterly Safety Excellence Award.
Morning, Chairman Porteous, members of the board. I'm Ian McGahey, County Administrator. At Yuma County, safety is not just a priority, it's a commitment that we honor and celebrate. We're dedicated to providing a secure and healthy environment, not only for our employees, but for the public as well. The success of Yuma County and Superior Court is a direct result of dedication and innovation demonstrated by our employees day in and day out in the name of customer service. And to honor those who consistently champion safety in the workplace, we have established the Safety Excellence Award. Any employee can nominate a fellow employee for this distinctive honor. Nominations are screened by the Safety Committee and a winner is selected. Nominees are celebrated in our UCount newsletter, and they receive a certificate of achievement and a goodie bag. And the winner of the Safety Excellence Award also receives an Arctic USAFE tumbler and a $100 check. The winners of the Quarterly Safety Excellence Award are put in for the Annual Safety Excellence Award, where the winner of that receives $250. I'd like to welcome Security Officer Carlos Marquez to the podium to introduce this quarter's nominees.
Hello, good morning. Good morning
Good
again.
morning.
Chairman Porteous, board members. My name is Carlos Marquez, Security Officer here at the Yuma County Admin, downtown area. I'm delighted to commend the outstanding nominees for the Safety Excellence for the first quarter of 2024 and to unveil the deserving winner. Today we have the privilege and acknowledging 8 exceptional employees to have been nominated for their dedication to safety from January to March 2024. A big thank you to those who were nominated, these individuals. Your contribution truly make a difference in our safety culture. And to the nominees, please join me to the podium as I announce your names for a well-deserved recognition. First up, we're going to do adult probation. When I call your name, please approach the podium to be recognized. Jeanette Milan, Probation Services Supervisor for 17 years.
The end.
Matthew Mead, Probation Officer 2 with 16 years of service. In Matthew's place, Chief Probation Officer Mike Bird will accept the nominations. Susan Malarchik, Probation Services Supervisor with 18 years of service. Rosemary Barbie, Probation Services Supervisor with 23 years of service. She's out. Okay. Mike Bird will also accept that nomination as well. So with these individuals, on March 27th, 2 fires broke out near the adult probation facility. One at the historic freight depot across the street, while the other ignited in a nearby abandoned house. Upon learning of the fires, Jeanette immediately notified management, coordinated with the fire department, helped evacuate all occupants, and secured the building to prevent access. She also contacted dispatch so that all service officers would be told not to return to adult probation. Jeanette quick actions ensured safety to both the building and staff. Matthew, spotting the smoke from the depot, promptly dialed 911 and alerted both authorities and supervisors at adult probation. He aided in coordinating with fire department to evacuate staff and visitors and help clear pathway for fire trucks to access the building if needed. Matthew's quick reporting enabled fire department to swiftly contain both fires. Susan, upon learning of the fire, sprang into action. She coordinated with fire department and YPD on site, helped clear a path for emergency responders. Susan also assisted in evacuating the adult probation and conducted a thorough sweep to ensure no one was left inside. Susan's swift and decisive actions played a vital role in safeguarding fellow members. Rosemary, learning of the fires, promptly informed management, collaborated with on-site fire department to evacuate staff and visitors. She also aided in directing traffic leaving adult probation, keeping staff and the public away from the threat of both fires. Rose's actions played a crucial role in preventing injuries and damage to adult probation facility. Thank you. Next up would be Lamberto Sanchez. Please approach the podium to be recognized. Lamberto Sanchez is a community restitution specialist with 30 plus years of service. Lamberto Sanchez demonstrates exceptional dedication to safety by leading daily cleanup efforts around the building, ensuring walkways are clear and trimming hazardous vegetation. Lamberto actively participates in safety trainings, reports violations, and ensures proper safety equipment for community service crews. Lamberto also assisted in the fire situation in March. He alerted unaware occupants in the meeting room, ensuring everyone evacuated safely. Lamberto consistently supports safety inspections of vehicles and buildings, adheres to safety guidelines, and promotes a culture of safety in the workplace. All right, we got Robert Rosas, Facilities Management HVAC Technician with 2 years of service, and Robert's Place Supervisor Joaquin Espinoza, Facilities Management Deputy Director Greg Britt will accept the nomination. Please approach the podium. Robert Rosas demonstrated exceptional safety awareness by promptly identifying the need for a railing system to prevent the falls at the adult probation facility, enhancing safety for all staff. His proactive approach extends to seeking out training opportunities like the Ammonia Day training hosted by the Yuma Fire Department, crucial for the HVAC division's handling of hazardous materials. Also proposed an innovative idea of magnetic umbrellas to mitigate the risk associated with the hot desert sun. Robert's commitment to safety, staying informed, and promoting safety culture makes him an asset to his division. Next up, we have Armando Rodriguez. Please step up to the podium to be recognized. He's with Facilities Management, Custodial Supervisor with 7 years of service. As Armando passed the DDS building, he spotted smoke from the cigarette disposal container. Acting swiftly, he fetched water from the kitchen and alerted the DDS office. Armando emphasized the importance of extinguishing cigarettes before disposal. Armando's prompt response averted a potential major fire over at DDS. But not least, Carlos Garcia, please approach the podium to be recognized. He's with Juvenile Court, Community Restitution Specialist 2 with 3 years of service. Carlos Garcia's dedication to the fleet maintenance significantly bolsters the safety of our officers during field visits and extensive travel. While routine maintenance is vital, Carlos's inspections go above and beyond, preventing potential damage and ensuring driver safety while saving costs. His commitment to safety deserves recognition and appreciation, amplifying his concern for everyone's well-being. with all these nominees and
How do you make a choice with all those exceptional
I know.
individuals?
all those except we have a committee. We have a safety committee that meets. We gather all the nominations together and we kind of go over it and see which
But the
one.
committee,
We funded it?
yeah, well,
I'm sorry.
Have we funded it well?
No, this is not funded. This is not funded committee.
It's a tough job. Right?
It's tough. It's tough. There were so many to choose from. Yeah, we can hand out these back.
Another round of applause for
yes.
With the exceptional nominees, choosing a winner was a challenging task for the safety committee. However, after careful consideration, we have made our selection. I am delighted to announce the
Drum roll.
recipient of the Safety Excellence Award winner for the first quarter of 2024 calendar year. Please join me in congratulating Robert Rosas.
Both of those guys. Let's stand up here. Yeah, too many.
Robert Rosas.
That's for you after all.
Speech?
We like to take credit for it.
Robert, you need to stand right up here
Yeah.
With everybody.
with everybody. But you get the certificate.
A little bit more.
Come on, guys.
Until you cover
No,
the
you,
channel.
everybody. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Barbara, you're in charge of making sure that everybody is in the camera except this side.
Need one extra hand.
We in government like to say the check's in the mail.
He gotta check.
Yeah, you got it.
Efectivo.
Don't spend it on the way.
Rosemary.
Barbara, don't look so worried. You'll do it.
Okay.
Gotta step back and make sure.
Be ready. Gotta change the barber, you and I.
Thank you.
Thank you, people. Congratulations there, guys.
You know, that's safety issue.
Yeah, you're right.
Turning in the middle or going that way, turning the other way.
Thought you guys were here to get Tony when they first walked in. For speeding.
Near the border.
Yeah, near the border.
Once again, thank you for all you do, and congratulations to all the winners and our selection. Thank you.
Both my
We'll
Roosevelt.
go ahead and move on to item number 3, presentation of the mix with Yuma County by Yuma.
Relief from the heat. These stories and more, you're watching The Mix. Yuma County celebrated a key milestone with a topping out ceremony for its new downtown administration services building. The final steel beam, signed by the Board of Supervisors, marked the completion of the structure's framework. The 3-story facility will centralize 8 different county departments and divisions, including election services, county administration, and a new Board of Supervisors auditorium, streamlining services for residents. Construction progresses towards an expected completion by June 2025. Election season is gearing up, and the Yuma County Recorders and Election Services want to ensure you are ready to participate. The deadline to register to vote for the upcoming July 30th primary election is July 1st. You must be registered by then to participate. Need more information about registering to vote or other important election dates? Just log on to yumacountyaz.gov and click on the Yuma County Recorders page found under the Government tab. As temperatures in Yuma County begin to creep towards triple digits, residents are urged to take precautions when spending time outdoors. With the heat wave upon us, it's important to reschedule strenuous activities to early morning or evening. Wear lightweight, loose-fitting clothing, and most importantly, stay hydrated by drinking plenty of water to provide relief from the scorching temperatures. Cooling centers have been set up in various locations throughout Yuma County. Residents can easily locate the nearest cooling centers by visiting yumacountyaz.gov and accessing the cooling center information under the Health tab. Are you interested in building a home but don't know where to start? Oscar is at the Department of Development Services to find information needed.
All right, Arlene, I am on site at the Department of Development Services to give you and community members a VIP access look into permitting, plans review, and inspections. Let's go take a look. Hey Esteban, how are you?
Hey Oscar, I'm doing great by yourself.
Good to see you.
Good to see you as well.
Yeah, so I'm here today at the Department of Development Services to give a behind-the-scenes look into permitting. As a new customer, tell me about what the process is for when I first enter.
Awesome, of course. Well, first you'd walk up and be greeted by a receptionist and who would ask you a couple questions about what you're here to do today, and so they can direct you to the right person. So they'll most likely direct you to one of our permit techs. You know, if you're here to do over-the-counter projects like replace a water heater, maybe replace your electrical panel, that's something that they would be able to help you with right here, right now over the counter. You know, fees for that change. They're available online if you want some more information.
So I've been really into HGTV these days, so I'm here to build my own house. Tell me about what the process looks like to get a permit. So to do your new house, yeah, you'd step over with one of our permit techs. They would help you fill out the application, make sure you have the necessary supplemental paperwork for it, your plans, of course. After we initialize your application, we give you an application number so you know what to reference, and then we'll make sure that all the divisions review it accordingly. You know, we have planning and zoning, environmental, building and safety, flood control engineering. A lot of people get involved. Awesome, thank you so much. So much good information. I'm gonna go talk to plans and get some more information on inspections.
Sounds great. We'll see you later.
Thanks, bye.
Bye.
Hey Ty, how are you?
I'm good, how are you?
Good to see you. So I just met with Esteban to talk about the permitting process, and I'm here to speak with you about plans review and inspections. What can you tell me?
Well, once you turn those plans into us and it goes into our review process, what we're gonna do is that we're gonna make sure that whatever you've turned in meets the minimum requirements of code. And once we verify that whatever you turn in meets those requirements, we're then going to stamp those plans, and then we're going to let you know those plans are ready to be picked up. Once you pick up those plans, we're then going to take those plans, we'll take them to the job site, and then from that point we'll do inspections and we'll look at various things as far as the plumbing, the electrical, window sizing, and just different components of the building. But we'll take a look at it and we'll make sure that, number one, that it's safe and it follows your stamped approved plans. And we're always available if you need anything as far as questions regarding your plans. If you run into something that you're just not sure about, we're always available. You can call your inspector, or you can call the office directly, and we'll be able to answer your questions to the best of our ability.
That's awesome. DDS has our back.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much, Ty, for all the information. You have a great day.
You too.
All right, Arlene, that was a behind-the-scenes look at the Department of Development Services. Back to you in the studio.
That was great information. Thank you so much, Oscar. Now, it's that time again. Each quarter, we like to take a moment to recognize an employee who has gone above and beyond when it comes to safety. Robert Rosas enhanced safety at the Adult Probation Facility, initiating the installation of a railing system to prevent falls and proposing magnetic umbrellas for sun protection during summer. Robert's commitment to safety fosters a culture of continuous improvement and collective responsibility among his peers. Thanks for joining us on the episode of The Mix. If you'd like to watch past episodes, visit our webpage at yumacountyaz.gov under the VOD section. See you on the next one.
Right. We'll go ahead and move on to consent calendar. The following items listed under the consent agenda will be considered as a group, enacted upon by one motion with no separate discussion unless a board member so requests. In that event, the item will be removed from the consent calendar for a separate discussion and action. And we have items 1 to 17.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to pull item 14 for discussion, please.
Item number 14. Any other, is there a motion to approve items 1 to 17 with the exception of 14?
So moved.
There's a motion and a second to approve item 1 to 17 with the exception of 14. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Supervisor Reyes.
Oh, Frank, this is an item that's been sort of a hidden item. You know, I keep getting all these questions about when are we going to start this new roadway in between San Luis and between F and the city of San Luis, and I keep telling everybody there was a mistake. But until now, this is formalizing that transfer of funds, right? And a little bit of background history from what I gather was that when the project was approved, it was a $30 million or $33 million project. The legislature appropriated the funds for that project to the county. But ADOT is the one that's going to do the construction. So what we're doing is transferring the funds, the $33 million, to the city of San Luis so the city of San Luis can use them on the project, right?
Chairman Porches, Supervisor Reyes, Frank Sanchez, Director at County Engineering. That is correct. When the state first appropriated the funds, they mistakenly identified as Yuma County as being the owner of the project, which really it was the city of San Luis. So the board signed an IGA where ADOT was going to hold on to the $33 million because they were going to administer the project and the construction of the project. And now ADOT's having an issue with them holding on to the money into the projects being ready to get constructed. So now what they want to do is now just take that money and transfer it to the city of San Luis, where they can hold it into interest-bearing account until the project gets kicked off.
So what we're doing is just simply transferring the funds over to the city of San Luis, approving the transfer of the funds over to the city.
Correct. Funds are going to San Luis, which is their project.
Perfect. I don't have any problem with that. I mean, I just wanted some clarification because I did not, at the beginning, I did not understand why the county was going to do that. I remember, if I could, I remember the A95, what's it called? H95? Well, I remember doing the freeway connection. The changing of the historic Highway 95 from what it is now, which is now a county road, to what it became the state route, which is 95. So, which is the Bob, what's it, Bob what? But there's a name.
I-95?
Yeah.
Oh, John.
State Route 195?
Yeah. State Route 195, but it's got a name.
Used to be the Ash Highway.
Bond. Yeah, the
Yeah,
Bond
Bond-
Expressway.
Bond Highway.
And I remember doing that. That was like a $70-something million project that the county was, monitoring.
Participated in, yes.
As a matter of fact, we collected I think 1 cent sales tax that came for that construction. But anyway, I just wanted to make sure that everybody that was listening to the Board of Supervisors knew what this was about. It's a history that's been going on for the last couple of years. It's about time the city of San Luis. That's not going to be a $30 million project or $33 million project. That's going to be a higher price project. And the longer it takes, the more it's going to cost.
Yeah. This was a smart move by the ADOT right now because, first of all, the state's in a deficit. Second of all, ADOT still hasn't been renewed as an agency yet, and it comes up at the end of June. And so by transferring it to...
For all those reasons,
Yeah,
I'll make a motion.
by transferring it to San Luis, first of all, the state won't use it to try and balance their budget. San Luis will have it in their funds and the money will be much safer.
All right, I'll make
With
a motion.
interest, yes.
I'll make a
with
motion to
interest.
go ahead and approve the item.
I'll second it.
Thank you.
There's a motion and a second to approve item number 14 as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. moving on to discussion and action items. Item number 1, County Administration Special Taxing District. Here, presentation and discussion and action on the Yuma County fiscal year 2024-25 tentative budget as follows. Ian.
Thank you, Chairman Porges. Good morning again, members of the board. Ian McGahee, County Administrator. This morning, I'm pleased to present the tentative budget for Yuma County for fiscal year 2024-25. It's a budget that is responsible, financially sustainable, and representative of the goals outlined in our strategic plan. So here is the agenda for today's presentations related to the 24-25 budget. We can go through as many of these as you like, or as few as you like. But first, I'll present a brief summary highlighting the changes from the recommended to tentative budget. Then, if desired by the board, CFO Gil Villegas can show the interactive budget spreadsheet, which you also have as a handout. And finally, Budget Director Tony Struck is prepared to review the financial forecast and what-if scenarios, if you wish. So we are nearing the end of this process. This slide only goes back to early May, but as you know, the process technically kicked off right after adoption of our current budget. The Budget Review Team had its first meeting back in August of 2023, and then the heart of the work really commenced in December. The board is scheduled to adopt the tentative budget today, which is the maximum budget the board can consider prior to the final adopted budget. The board will also set the public hearing and truth and taxation hearing for June 24th, which is the same date that the board would adopt the final budget for fiscal year 24-25. So just an overview of where we are. This slide lists the changes from the recommended budget presented last month to the board to the tentative budget set to be adopted today. As was discussed on May 6th, the board asked for a 3% scale adjustment to be added to the tentative budget. The court personnel adjustments were adjustments submitted by Presiding Judge Hawes to address inequities he determined to be in their compensation structure. Since presenting the recommended budget, the county has received updated estimates for the Arizona long-term care system costs. We had initially added $750,000 to the recommended budget, but the total increase from our current budget year is expected to be $1.3 million, bringing the total Altex cost to $12.7 million, which is an increase of 11.4% over the current year. The phone system upgrade is a one-time expense for hardware. The ongoing operating expense will be absorbed within the ITS operating budget. The environmental assessment for the South County transfer site is a carryover from this current budget year, as the project is not expected to be completed by June 30th of this year. The juvenile court gate opener was originally not recommended by the BRT, the Budget Review Team, but we subsequently learned that the gate is integral to the security of the facility. So for the $36,000 expense, we determined that it needs to be done. And finally, an increase in transfers due to the general fund subsidy of personnel and special revenue funds as a result of the 3% scale adjustment. This chart summarizes all funds for which the county is responsible, with tentative appropriations for the next fiscal year compared to the current fiscal year. The general fund reflects an overall increase of less than 3%, which is lower than the rate of inflation. Special revenue includes the jail district, health district, library district, and flood control districts, as well as grant funds. The debt service increase reflects additional funds to aid in future debt buy-down. Capital projects includes funding for major multi-year projects, as well as several buildings, including the new home of Yuma County Administration Services across the street, the health district building remodel, and more. And internal service funds include our vehicle replacement program, ITS life cycle management, workers' comp insurance, county health insurance, ASRS revolving fund, and liability insurance, among others. So overall, the tentative budget includes a slight reduction to total appropriations from the prior year's adopted budget. Comparing our tentative tax rates to the current fiscal year, this budget recommends the same general fund tax rate as the current year, no increase. The recommendation for the library district is an increase for operations of nearly 1 cent, but this is offset by a reduction of the same amount in debt service, netting to a zero change in the overall rate. The budget recommends the same tax rate as the current year for the flood control district, so overall, there is no increase to the combined property tax rate for all funds. And finally, a reminder that the Yuma County General Fund, library, and flood control districts combined represent a comparatively small portion of the overall property tax bill, with just 29 cents of the tax dollar going to the general fund and all districts combined, compared to 57 cents to education. So, Chairman, that completes my presentation. This is a sound, fiscally sustainable, conservative budget that allows the county to effectively serve our residents, businesses, and visitors in the year to come, and lays a strong financial path for the future. Next, if you like, staff can present the interactive budget spreadsheet, which you do have as a handout, and the long-range financial forecast with what-if scenarios if you'd like. That concludes my presentation.
Any questions for you?
That's fine with me.
We
I
want
think
to
we
see
will.
any of the presentations?
Just so Gil can, have the last say, I'd like to hear from him. Is there anything, Gil, that you'd like to tell us? Other than your retirement date?
He said no.
He said nobody walked to the podium, typical. No, Gil, I do want to take the time to thank you. I know it's a little bit anticlimactic, but you guys worked a lot on this budget, and a lot of it is financial stuff, and you have a lot to do with the financing of the whole thing. So I just wanted to thank you for the effort you guys put out. The budget review team has been working on it for a long time. You guys prepared a budget that I personally think is very, very good. It doesn't require any changes on the property tax rate. It meets every requirement available. You guys have been getting the award every year for doing a good job, and I just wanted to let you know that I personally, and I think the rest of the board, appreciate a lot of the work you guys do to make sure that our job is, as it is, pretty good.
Chairman, Supervisor Reyes, thank you very much for your very kind words. It's definitely a team effort. I've been saying this, we can't do this without the help of the entire BRT and the department heads. They really help us putting the budget together. They really help us giving us the numbers. So really appreciate. One last thing, I have the handout. I didn't distribute it to you guys right now. I can leave it with the clerk of the board if that is the desire of the board.
I have one question. All the changes that we recommended have been made. This is the final, well, it's a tentative budget, but as most of us have been through this process, the tentative budget is our final budget. We can only make corrections downward. We cannot make corrections upward. So this will be the budget, and there's some changes happen between now and then, which will only be shifting of funds from one department to another, but it cannot be increasing any of the funds. So this is your last chance to say something.
The savings.
Yeah, that's right. So you made the changes, everything is included in the budget, it's ready to go.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Gil.
Thank you, Gil.
Any other questions for any? I do have, before we make a motion, William Katz that wanted to speak on this item.
Hello, everyone. William Katz, in-house counsel, Halls General Contractor, LLC. I'll incorporate by reference my previous comments as a context for my comments here. Looking at the budget, it's a sizable amount at $577 million. There might be an opportunity here to identify a use of those funds that might not have been identified originally within the budget. I've attended both of the initial meetings of the Joint Land Use Plan Committee. There's been an expert retained. It's a law firm out of Northern Virginia that's been hired by the city of Yuma, as well as the county and the city of Somerton to prepare the Joint Land Use Plan. $367,000 through a grant is being used to fund that. This is a law firm and a team that works with the law firm that specializes in joint land use plans, but also at times exclusively works on MCAS feasibility studies. They've done approximately 3 or 4. What I'm bringing to your attention is that with regard to the 2019 AQs, it proposes 4 new APZs and clear zones. Moreover, as you're aware, MCAS through the 2019 AQs intends to have a larger influence of what happens along the BMGR West boundary, beginning at County 14th, that they want to have the ability to weigh in on density 3 miles north from the boundary, going forward outside of the noise contours in the APZs. As you're aware, HB 2548, as adopted, gives military installations, more notice and opportunity to be heard as it relates to BMGR West and East issues. And I've already covered some of the more aggressive activity of the military at the state legislature with regard to housing and land use. What's important for you to know is that the experts that have been retained that are supposed to be working on your behalf will not be studying the economic impact of implementation of the 2019 AQs or the expansion of the control over the BMGR West boundary. When asked directly during the first meeting whether they will be taking into consideration the economic impact of removing thousands of acres, because that's what APZs are, noise contours, and clear zones, of removing additional thousands of acres from production of either commercial or residential development from Yuma County, the city of Yuma, and the city of Somerton, they responded that they will not be studying that. There'll be no economic analysis done as to the loss of economic development in the city of Yuma, Yuma County, or the city of Somerton. They said, no, they're not studying it. It was essentially a 6-minute question and answer segment that I asked, and they said point blank, we're not going to study it. It's not a part of our scope of work. That's a real problem. Moreover, it's going to affect the property rights of a large number of property owners here within Yuma County, the city of Yuma, and the city of Yuma. And as you're aware, the Sheets decision of the Supreme Court of the United States has now given effect that legislative action can result in a regulatory taking at the local level. So what I bring before you is that there's a potential loss as it relates to future litigation over these issues, but most immediately, there's hundreds of millions of dollars of future economic activity within Yuma County, the city of Yuma, and the city of Somerton that are going to go unstudied as part of this J-loop. I ask that you either rephrase the scope of work for this law firm and its team in the J-loop, or you set aside a certain amount of funds, $100,000, to contribute towards a pot of money with the city of Yuma and the city of Somerton, where essentially the economic impact of imposing 4 new APZs and the military's intention of having a greater reach along the BMGR West boundary. We got to study these issues now. This budget is one way to address the studies by essentially allocating funds, because there's hundreds of millions of dollars at loss to our community if this goes into effect. And if it goes into effect unstudied, that would be not only disappointing, it'd be unfortunate. There's a balance here that needs to be achieved. Obviously, everyone on this commission is in favor of the base and supports the base, as do we. But there's a balance that has to be achieved between the communities and the base. And that by studying these issues and working cooperatively together, we can achieve that balance. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Regarding this, before you leave, we do have a set aside of what, $500,000 in the contingency fund, right?
For contingency for the board, is that what you said? Yes, sir. And we have
So we do have the flexibility of assigning some funds to this. It's important to me. I think that the fact that it impacts Somerton that highly. The city of Yuma can defend themselves, but Somerton probably needs a little bit more help, and the rest of the county. So I feel this budget would be able to cover that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just want to make you aware that all you need to do is not be aware of this as it goes on, and let the county staff know. Because I think our position is, look, we defend whatever the Marines or whatever the military wants to do, the base, but
We have to have that balance.
not at the stake of just taking not at the sake of them determining the future of a city like Somerton, especially.
Mr. Chair?
Hold on, then let me, Jonathan.
Oh, you're next.
Appreciate you being here today, William. Ian, why wouldn't, if we've hired them, why wouldn't they address the economic impact as referred to by Mr. Katz? If they're going to recommend contour, why isn't that taken into consideration?
I think it's a fair point. I think Mr. Katz brings up some good questions. We're going to have a presentation of the board July 1st, the first meeting of July, to update from Maggie the joint land use plan and also ACUs, which is a major part of what Mr. Katz is speaking about. So I want to dig into it a little bit more before I give you a solid answer on that. But
Thank you.
We are looking into it, and it is an important consideration.
And I just want to tell Mr. Katz that we are, aware. I mean, at least I was aware a little bit of the impact it has on municipalities, especially I know some prohibition where landing strips expand, the noise zone expands so much that it impacts the growth of Somerton to the east. So we'll be looking at that, and we'll get a report, and then we'll take actions. But this budget allows.
We do have a set aside.
We do have a set aside.
Mr. Chair, Mr. Chair, Mr. Katz, I have one more question. You said 3 miles, and when I was at that meeting, I understood it to be 1 mile.
Correct. So there are a couple different issues and concepts at play with regard to BMGR West. If you were to look at the 2019 AQs, a lot of the discussion appears to center solely on implementation of the 4 new clear zones and the 4 new APZs. However, the military and MCAS Yuma within the 2019 AQs is attempting to give force and effect to the 2005 compatibility study, and it's within the 2019 AQs. And within that 2005 compatibility study, it essentially recommended that the military, particularly MCAS Yuma, have the ability to weigh in on density issues 3 miles from the northern boundary of the Goldwater Range, and with no limitation on those 3 miles north, the way it reads and is proposed, and it's objectionable, it would be 3 miles to the north, even though the land is outside of the noise contours, and even though the land is outside the APZs and the clear zones.
Oh, okay.
And if you look at what's been achieved at the state legislature through HB 2548, this is an amendment to the Smart Growth Act, as well as the Smart Growth Act 2.0, which gives MCAS Yuma a greater ability to demand notification on land use decisions that are outside of the APZs, as well as outside of the clear zones and the contours. So why would they want that? Well, it's to give force and effect to what they're trying to accomplish in the 2019 AQs as well. And the 2019 AQs is also heavily focused on expanding control, and it is objectionable when it's 3 miles to the north of the northern boundary. One thing that's been established since 1978 in Yuma through the Van Houten noise contours and the APZs is that that balance was attempted to be achieved through that. But this radical idea of 4 new sets of APZs and 4 new sets of clear zones, as well as expansion of control along the BMGR West, I mean, the city of Yuma has documented that the MCAS Yuma installation wants to acquire 4,700 acres of development ground north of County 14th Street. But at the second J-Loop meeting, when questioned as to the location of that acquisition and the means in which it's going to be achieved, the military didn't provide information on the location of the 4,700 acres. When asked subsequent questions, I'm paraphrasing from memory, they indicated that some of the land is private and some of the land is public. When asked, have all the private landowners been notified, they said no. Yeah.
Well, it's, I think we're going to discuss this further.
Thank you.
It's
I just,
but
I wanted
budget-wise,
an
I think it's going to be
explanation.
solved. I think we have it.
It's all about achieving a balance and cooperating and finding that balance.
Thank you, Mr. Katz. Mr. Chairman, and Ian, could we not explore with Greg Levon, and he could do some preliminary investigation into the economic impact? Good idea.
Oh, that would be good.
Right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh,
Antonio.
Chairman?
This is not a discussion item.
Mr. Chairman, just to remind you, this the discussion item number 1, although they're
Budget
fine in
budget.
access to the budget, this is somewhat limited and restricted in discussion.
Budget?
The budget is too wide.
It's related to the budget. This conversation.
Nice save.
Nice save. Okay.
My name is Antonio Martinez. I represent Marine Corps Station Yuma, and I'm going to keep this very, very short. There's a lot of misconceptions that I just heard right now. We are not trying to acquire that much land, so if you want to use that money on your budget to do a different study, I don't know if that would be a great point. That's up to your
It's okay. I'm
deliverance.
sure Mike is going to.
But so July 1st, you will get a presentation. I just want to make sure that you that this is clarified. We are not, and I repeat, we're not trying to obtain 4,700 acres. We don't have the money for that. We don't have the budget for that, and that's not our intention. And also, we are not trying to expand the BMGR. That is another misconception. And those 3 miles that we're talking about, that's already part of the comprehension plan. We already received anything that is developed in that land, and we just do it because we like to inform the public that they are in a location that is close to the range, which will have a lot of noise from aircraft and possible route to that range. So the only thing we're trying to keep is we're trying to keep the BMGR buffer zone safe. And actually, you brought Somerton. Somerton is actually something that I think this J-loop will definitely help out. I think this is a great positive impact for everybody, and that's why we have like a third party doing this, so they can actually have a neutral standpoint from the public and from the base.
Thank you.
So, thank you.
All right.
If no more discussion, I'd like to make a motion. The motion will be to approve to adopt the tentative budget for fiscal year 2025 and to set the date and time for a combined public hearing on the fiscal year 24-25 tentative budget and truth and taxation as Monday, June 24, 2024 at 9 a.m.
I'll second.
Do we get all of them? Yes. Okay. There's a motion and a second to
just what
approve what Tony said. Yeah. Recommendation by staff and the tax and the budget. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to item number 2, grants. Discussion and possible action to approve the application submission for the Water Infrastructure Finance Authority, WIFA Water Supply Development Revolving Fund. And
good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Diana Veloz, County Administration. So I'm here today for the Water Infrastructure Finance Authority, WIFA. They released their Water Supply Development Revolving Fund, which is known as WSDRF grant funding opportunity to address clean drinking water access in rural areas. The WIFA Water Supply Revolving Grant application was due in May. We missed that deadline, but it's now due on September 18th. It can fund up to $2 million in grant dollars per application. The WSDR fund is designed to meet the unique water supply needs of small rural communities. Eligible entities include water providers and political subdivisions located outside of Phoenix, Tucson, and Pinal AMAs. Source Global is an agency that is collaborating with one of the local nonprofits here. They reached out to Yuma County to be the lead agency and the pass-through in order to be eligible to apply for this grant. So the grant does operate on a grant reimbursement basis, which would require the county to initially cover all the upfront costs before receiving reimbursement. If you would all be okay with this, I would like to call up Colin Goddard from Source Global to explain the proposed project in further detail.
go ahead.
Thank you, Ms. Veloz, and good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. My name is Colin Goddard. I'm a Vice President of Business Development for Source Global. It's good to be back here again. Recently presented to the board at a previous meeting regarding the results of our first effort here in Yuma County, equipping over 138 homes with our off-grid drinking water systems, and have now found out about another grant opportunity that the county could pursue to provide these off-grid drinking water systems to another approximately 200 residents, 200 homes to say, sorry, 600, 800 residents throughout the county. And we would desire to collaborate with the county to try to find to develop an innovative proposal to obtain these funds and increase access to clean drinking water at the household level for homes in rural parts of the county with challenging water supply that rely on bottled water or hauled water, and be able to now make that water on site to increase resiliency, support the 2030 comprehensive plan of the county board to ensure that everyone has clean, safe drinking water that tastes great at home, and That's kind of a short summary, and welcome any questions and appreciate your consideration.
I do want to make a statement about this, Mr. Chairman. I did not realize, but I see one of my staff members here. So the other nonprofit that's probably working with you guys is the Comité. So I need to refrain from discussing or talking about this project just in case. I'll declare my possible conflict of interest and remain quiet. We should speed up the process.
You want to go sit over there? Or
Yeah, I want to see where I'm at.
Definitely speed up the process.
Definitely speed up the
That would
process.
be.
All right. Can you
I'll remain quiet.
Quiet for all the meeting?
No, just
Throughout
for
the meeting?
Oh,
Any questions?
no, I think it's a great idea. Do you guys, Linda, oh, we need to apply for it. Linda Elliott, but she's not Elliott anymore, has one, they got one through a grant the last time, and it's working beautifully, and I recommend it. Or
So-
she would, if she were here, would recommend it.
So it'd be the county applying for this? And then, so who's gonna decide, Diana, who's gonna decide who gets it, or how are we gonna distribute that grant, or?
Mhm.
So, Mr. Chairman, it would be the county that applies for this. We would be the lead agency. We would be taking on this liability. Then we would contract with the local nonprofit. Within this grant, there would be a 10% administration fee selected for the county because we are administering this grant. We have to do reporting, and we are going to have to do some eligibility monitoring as well. It would be another 10% for that local nonprofit that is going to be doing eligibility for this, and then the rest would go towards the project. So that's the way the budget right now is being distributed.
So, and so the nonprofits are gonna apply to see who gets it, or we have already one?
Individuals would apply, right?
Be the
That would be
individuals.
individuals that are low income.
Mhm.
Yes.
And I believe it's at mobile homes? I think that was the first one, if I understood it correctly.
Mr. Chairman, we could provide the equipment on a variety of homes, manufactured homes, or other fixed homes. Typically, single-family residences of some size would be optimal for what we kind of initially had proposed. But we hope to get feedback from the WIFA board and staff on what is, doable.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to refrain from voting on this because I will have to vote as vice chair of WIFA to award this. So I won't vote on this as well. No. I will recuse
Now,
myself.
Mr. Chairman, I just have a question. Is this only available to homeowners or renters as well?
Supervisor Simmons, the intention would be to both if the renters ask the landlord for approval and the landlord obtains that approval. It's the standard process for our other grant applications.
Okay, any other questions? Don't not.
I'm not gonna ask the question.
He's busting at the seams to
I'm
say
just-
something.
I'm looking at Mr. Simmons.
If there's no other questions, I don't know, do we need to make a motion on this?
I'll move to accept. Just applying for this grant.
I'll second.
So there's a motion and a second to accept or approve the application submission for the Water Infrastructure Finance Authority, WIFA, Water Supply Development Revolving Fund, grant opportunity, and partner with Source Global to implement a program to bring hydro solar panels to a low-income residents of Yuma County. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And two abstain?
Two abstain.
Thank you, Dan, thank you. Item number 3. Josh, go ahead. Facilities,
Chairman, I thought we were
discussion
done
and
with this
possible
stuff.
action on future emergency.
We're done with this stuff.
Well, and just, and I know Josh is gonna go through this, but for the board, just in case, we have timing that it's very essential that we don't, for this item, and then there's also still they're there or they're at that place that it won't be empty until next year. So timing and that is critical. So which I think it's but we'll hear from Josh and.
And let me just ask a question. Does this have to do with ARPA funds? And
Yeah.
the fact that
That's
we
why-
need to allocate them to a specific site before December 31st, and that's why we need to.
That's what I just said.
Yeah.
Timing.
Time.
Yeah.
So it's ARPA funds.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Josh Scott, Deputy County Administrator. Just a few slides to go through to kind of introduce the discussion of possibly relocating the Office of Emergency Management into what is currently the Public Fiduciary site. Just a map to get everybody oriented. Public Fiduciary is located at 3007 South Pacific Avenue, adjacent to the fairgrounds and immediately north of the park. Closer up view of the site. You can see the office building there on the bottom of the picture. There is a metal warehouse and a yard just to the east of that. And there is one other building on the site, on the north side of the site. It's currently unoccupied. It's used for storage, and it's in a bit rougher shape than the Public Fiduciary's building is now. Floor plan. This is a house that was built in 1960 and later converted for office use. Right now, it's about 2,100 square feet. The adjacent warehouse is about 2,500 square feet. And most of that would be available for emergency management if they were to occupy this site. We do want to use some of that warehouse space during our transitional moves for the next couple of years. We're moving folks in and out of buildings and we got a lot of furniture going different places.
It's a cushion.
Yeah. There have been some recent improvements out there. It received a new roof back in 2019, 2020. Last fiscal year, it got a new septic system, including some plumbing replacement, a restroom remodel, and we removed several big ficus trees on the property. They had gotten into the plumbing and also caused some damage to the foundation. If we do want to put emergency management in there long-term, there are a few other recommended improvements. First being replacing the existing single-pane windows with more energy-efficient and sound-dampening dual panes, leveling and replacing that flooring, and then a fresh coat of paint inside and out. One consideration with emergency management is they do have a ham radio group and a ham radio setup out at Public Works adjacent to the EOC. That's backup communications for the EOC should they lose internet, telephones, that sort of thing. This site of the Public Fiduciary site is also very near MCAS Yuma, and so moving the ham radio setup to this site isn't real feasible for a couple of reasons. It takes it away from the EOC, and then the Marine Corps would require us to keep that equipment on low power because they don't want it to interfere with military communications or any of the aviation equipment. So it would impact obviously the range and usability of that in an emergency situation. So that kind of leads us into three options here that I have today. One is relocating emergency management into the Public Fiduciary building, but leaving the ham radio setup in their current modular building out at Public Works. That modular's, it's in rough shape. It needs some rehab. We got some estimates last year. They were about $30,000 to rehab that. So I included that in this cost as well. So a total project cost of about $95,000. And this is where the funding piece comes in. So we can't move emergency management in until the Public Fiduciary is out, but we need to get the recorder and election services out into the new admin building. So that timing doesn't line up with the ARPA deadline. So we would have to allocate funds for this through the normal budget process.
Josh, there's a
question.
So there are other towers in that area. Do they operate that are in line of sight of the runway and or in that clear zone on the backside, so do they operate under that low power? Because that's a complete system over there.
I don't know about all those towers and all the equipment out there. I do know we have a ham radio repeater out there, which the Marine Corps has allowed us to put there under the condition that it operate on low power because of that possible interference. There's some other issues, and Tony may be able to better explain it, with the ham radio setup and relocating it. It would be a cost to move all that equipment and the antennas and everything. One of the concerns is line of sight to a repeater on telegraph, which would get us to East County with those communications. And if we get further away from that and lose line of sight, that becomes a concern as well. I don't know if we may be able to solve that with an additional repeater, but
May I ask a question?
No, I didn't.
I'm anxious.
Well,
I'm anxious to hear what you have
sounds
to
like
say.
French to me. We meaning the ham radio, is it ours ham radio, or is it just this ham radio system we support? Because it seems to me we gotta get into this gift clause thing with this $30,000 ham radio model at rehab. I mean, we have an
Tony's
emergency
shaking his
management
head.
system. So is there a concern that we sounds like it's ours? Is it ours, or is it just us supporting that operation? Because okay, maybe I should.
Chairman, Vice Chairman Tony Padilla, Yuma County Emergency Management Administrative Director. The trailer belongs to the county. The ham radio operators are volunteers. We have a base of about 40 to 50 of them. They're volunteers. That is their operating center for communication for ham radios. It's been out there probably 15, 20 years. But it does need a lot of repair. Moving them into a new facility with us, but that's not going to.
Okay. Now, the answer to that question is very simple. It's either it's ours, the equipment and everything, and we help, we provide it to them.
Everything in that
or-
trailer is ours.
Okay, so that's the answer. The answer is this equipment will be ours. It'll be manned by our volunteers, but we do own all the equipment, and we would own the hand radio monitor and rehab. It's not something that belongs to that club or that volunteer group. It's something that belongs to the club.
Right. We support, as volunteer
We
organizations,
own
my
the product.
budget supports some of their equipment that they have in there. The majority of the equipment in there is all purchased through county.
You're making this very difficult for me.
No,
It's
they're
either
county
our
volunteers.
equipment or not. It's our equipment.
Our equipment.
Okay, good, thank you. That's it. For legal purposes, it's our equipment.
Option two, similar to the first option, just rather than rehabbing the modular for the ham radio group, it's a replacement out there. It's not a huge modular, but it would require fire sprinklers and all kinds of good stuff. So that totals about $165,000. And again, timing would require us to budget through the normal budget process and appropriate county funds. And then the third option is continuing with the current board direction of building a new facility out at Public Works. And back in, I believe it was February, the board appropriated $600,000 of ARPA revenue replacement funds for that project. So if the board did choose to move away from that, you would have to reprogram those funds to find something that fit within that the ARPA deadlines. And I believe the June 24th board meeting, you'll hear from grants and finance on the current status of all the ARPA dollars. So you'd have an opportunity.
That's ARPA funds.
So would this necessitate we revisit the ARPA funding quickly? So we can commit that fund?
Yeah, so this is already committed. We have that money for that.
So we're gonna have to revisit that.
No.
If we choose the other option. If we choose the option of the fiduciary facility, we would have to revisit the ARPA funding, right?
That's
We'd have to reassign the $600,000 to some project. I heard, like.
Mr. Chairman.
But that was CDBG discussion.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
The June 24th board meeting, Finance and Grants will be presenting an update on the ARPA funds and where we're at with the expenditures. So you would have an opportunity then to
Reallocate.
Can we hear from Tony? See if he has any concerns?
What does he prefer?
I have concerns about
So-
that. So.
Yeah.
The other Tony.
Tony,
Tony's
You're
struck.
not the only Tony in my life.
thank you, Josh. Yeah, thanks, Josh. I see Tony with the concern. He does have concerns.
I know.
Go ahead. I mean, honest, what do you think?
Well, the purpose of us not being in 197 was to get us out to Public Works. That was the purpose. We were not included in 197. That was originally the thought process. Obviously, we're working in the facility right now currently with Public Health, who we work partnership with it as well, but our EOC is out at Public Works. The purpose of getting out there so we'd be out there so we could utilize that facility and utilize our ham radio operators and get everybody under one shop. This place here, like you said, there is currently a repeater out at the fairgrounds, and they are running under a lower voltage or whatever amps. I don't understand all that, but they have to run it at a lower thing. So I'm sure that same thing, if they move out to where the fiduciary's office is, that would happen as well. I don't know what the purpose of, whatever you guys decide, that's your decision. But I would think the intent was for us to move out to the Public Works facility so we can be near our EOC, which we utilize probably on a regular basis. This week, we're going to use it 3 days this week. So that means we have to travel back out there 3 different times in the morning and 3 times in the evening to close it down. So, I mean, the decision's based on whatever you guys push, but you got to remember, our volunteers meet with us on a regular basis. We're limited for space. This is not much bigger than what we already have, so they won't be able to utilize that facility to work out of as well. So.
What do you mean? You mean this? You mean this or the presentation?
Oh, no, this one probably would work temporarily. I mean, obviously, we're going to have to probably eventually grow that facility, and I hope we build it that it could be expanded in the future.
Do you prefer this?
This is what I prefer, yes.
$600,000 project.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions? Thank you, Tom.
I'm sure we can find something to do with the fiduciary. We're trying to move everything away from it.
And just a little bit of, why we're here today. I mean, sometimes as a board, we don't always look at what's, if there's a savings or something that an area or a space that we didn't consider. And if someone brings it up to me, I'll bring it up. I mean, it doesn't hurt to discuss it, and I want to make sure that we save the county taxpayers any amount of money as we can. So that's why we bring this back. I agreed to bring it back just to talk about it. I mean, I just want to make sure that everybody understands the timing and that we don't the timing to use the money that we have. Mm-hmm. So, any other questions for Josh?
Just a comment. I think that if you like the bigger space, the newer space, I have no problem with that. We have located that. And I think that we can always find something. But we're trying to move people away from that side because it's so close to the airport that putting more people in there, putting another operation in there seems to me counterproductive. I mean, we may save money, but at the end of the day, we will have to expand the facility. We'll have to work on it. We'd have to more. I think it's too much of an effort to go back to having a problem. I think if we find the space at the Public Works Department, I think we should go with it and spend the funds. I think that's what I think.
I'll make a motion that we go ahead and go with the Public Works, our original plan.
That's fine, and that's the current direction. You're welcome to make another motion to affirm your current direction if you like.
Just one comment before we on on Pacific Avenue. That's not. It doesn't belong to the county. I mean, or
we have it as an indefinite lease.
I'll let Josh address it. He's done some research on it.
Yeah, it's Bureau of Reclamation land. That I don't know if leases, whatever their term for that is. There's some restrictions on what we can use it for. I think it was originally granted to the county for use for parks and recreation purposes. We do have the BMX track there, which aligns with that, but if we do want to use it long-term for office space, we've had some discussions with the Bureau of Reclamation about amending that lease to reflect office operations.
So, and my thing is that I would like to at least keep that. So maybe in the future, just to think about something that we're just gonna, we're gonna continue using it and have that property if something comes up. So
if anybody gets on my wrong side, that's what I'll end up. You'll feel the sheriff.
Thank you, Josh.
Thank you.
So there's a motion
to continue with the plan that we had before.
Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second to continue with the direction that had been provided to staff. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Tony, another Tony say.
Thanks, Tony.
Thank you. Moving on to planning and zoning agenda.
Are they expedited hearing?
Oh, the full legal description of property sites for all rezoning cases are available to provide to the public review of the Yuma County Board of Supervisors Office. Expedited rezoning and public hearing. These items will be open as a group for public hearing and acted upon by one motion to adopt the recommendation of the Planning and Zoning Commission, except for any item that is removed by the board member for separate consideration. That item will be discussed and acted upon separately following action on expedited items. I'll go ahead and open all 4 expedited rezoning items as a group. And we're not gonna hear, I'll go ahead and open a public hearing. Open up to the public hearing. I don't see anybody from the public. I'll bring it back to the board.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we approve rezoning case 2403, 2404, 2405, and 2406, and expedited.
I'll second.
And I'll second.
Oh, this is a bipartisan motion.
Oh, well, go ahead then.
I'll second the motion.
There's a motion and a second to approve the 4 expedited rezoning items as a group. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
That was quick.
Moving on to rezoning, regular public hearing items. Staff will make a full presentation on each of the following items, followed by a separate discussion, public hearing, and action by the Board of Supervisors. Item number 1, special use permit, case number 24-02. And we have Mr. Barraza.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Javier Barraza, Senior Planner. Will the board like to have a brief PowerPoint or complete?
If it's brief, I'll be no problem.
I can brief it, but I'll be jumping a lot of slides. Okay.
Be brief.
I'll be brief.
In your brief.
Can I go to the recommendation then? This is request for a special use permit per section 602.03E of the Yuma County zoning ordinance to allow an accessory dwelling unit on a parcel 1.18 gross acres in size, zone suburban ranch 1 acre minimum. And the intent is to install a manufactured home as an accessory dwelling at 11323 South Adams Avenue. This is the vicinity and zoning map of the subject parcel, surrounded by residential zoning all around with a mixture of residential and site manufactured homes. This is an aerial view showing the subject parcel outlined in blue. Site plan provided by the applicant in yellow and red is the proposed accessory dwelling unit. This is the existing and an existing detached garage. Some pictures. Yellow rectangle at the end is the approximate location of the ADU. Another view looking at Adams and the site. We receive a lot of comments, some in opposition and in support. Received some petitions again in opposition and in support. This is more or less in the red X's are not in support. There are like 8 within the zoning ordinance in opposition and 1 resident within the zoning and support. This amount of opposition triggers a supermajority vote. Planning Commission recommends approval of special use permit case number 2402, subject to the following performance condition. Within 60 days of approval by the board, the owner or agent shall record an agricultural disclosure statement, record a navigation disclosure statement, and record an infrastructure disclosure statement as well. Also, the following operational conditions: the approval of the special use permit is based on the site plan submitted by the applicant. Any change from this site plan requires prior approval by the planning director. The principal dwelling and accessory dwelling unit shall not be rented separately. And number 3, the special use permit is valid for a period of time not to exceed 10 years from the date of approval by the Board of Supervisors. Mr. Chairman, that concludes staff's presentation. Applicants are present.
Any questions for Mr. Barraza?
Not brief enough. I'm just kidding.
When I visited that property, there was also a fifth wheel set up for.
Mr. Chairman,
as a
Supervisor Bancroft, that's been removed.
That
no longer
has
on the
been
property.
removed?
That is correct.
Good. Thank you.
The pictures that you saw were the latest picture that I took, and also it's been confirmed by the applicants. That they removed it.
Thanks.
There you go.
That helps. Thanks.
What is the MCAS? I'm trying to find it here.
It's outside that area.
It's outside.
It's outside there.
You're still thinking about the other.
Yeah, I think so.
I have,
Old age have remained.
Move
I
forward,
have-
Tony.
Hey, I'm
have
just trying to give you,
another-
Martinez, a chance to say something.
I have another
You have to
question.
take it now.
I have another question.
Yes, go ahead.
Oh,
It's inside the PM10,
yes.
and so are there any restrictions because of that?
See, the dust will need to be in control, but the existing road will support, the existing conditions will support the proposed use. I mean, it's only 20 more trips, 10 more trips, according to the engineer, you know. How many trips gonna be created? Just 10 more. 5 in, 5 out. See, the expected dust increases are gonna be minimal and marginal.
Thank you.
Staff concurs with the commission's recommendation.
What do you think?
I don't, well, open it up to the public.
Any more questions for?
One more thing, staff would like not to place a time limit on it.
That was
The
gonna be-
recommendation 10 years is from the planning commission, but staff recommend not to.
That's too much, so you want less?
No, no time limit.
Oh,
No time
No
limit.
time
No
limit.
time limit.
That was gonna be my question when it came up, because from what I understand, this is an in-ground
construction,
setup.
yeah.
So how do you sit there and put a time limit when it's being
You let them build.
put into the
Something like
ground?
that.
Oh,
Crawl space and the whole thing.
Doesn't make
Don't make sense.
any other questions for Mr. Barraza? I'll open it up to the public, open up the public hearing. Anybody from the public that,
Good morning, Barry Olson. I'm here, 350 West 16th Street, Suite 407 in Yuma. I'm here today on behalf of the Rosas family that are the applicants for this. You'll see from what was been presented and what the request is, the Rosas family is basically asking what we're seeing throughout Yuma County is to add an accessory dwelling unit to assist with the care of their parents. So what's being requested, and if you look at the area, you'll see a number of lots in this neighborhood that have a number of structures. So what the Rosas family is requesting basically coincides with what you see in the neighborhood and what I see is the growing trend in Yuma, where I'm having less and less clients have their parents going into assisted living facilities, nursing homes. The trend seems to be, and it seems to even be on a statewide level, where even the state legislatures recognize that accessory dwelling units are becoming more of a matter of right. And it's, I think, they have to do with this, the cost of housing and also keeping families together, which is commendable. With that, I don't want to overly complicate this. If there's any questions or concerns, I have the Rosas family with me. Their parents are here. I have Mr. Ware from Pacesetter Homes, which he was the original applicant.
No, I think you're following that auction well, that when you quit, well, you're ahead, because I think you're ahead right now. So, you're making it more complicated.
Thank you, Supervisor Reyes.
That's a compliment, Barry.
It's a compliment.
Really?
I've heard that numerous times.
Right.
anybody else from the public? I'll go ahead and close the public hearing and bring it up to the,
I'll make a motion that we approve, where is it here? Special use case number 24-02 is presented.
Go ahead, Tony.
With the amendment,
Make it bipartisan.
Make it bipartisan by seconding that motion.
with the amendment of the 10-year,
Yeah, with the removal of the 10
removal of the 10-year obligation.
there's a, you second it?
I second it.
And I think there's a roll call vote.
Supervisor Simmons,
Aye.
Supervisor Reyes,
Aye.
Supervisor Lyons,
Aye.
Supervisor Pancrase.
You know, I was really concerned about this. May I explain my vote, Mr.
Right.
Chair? Okay. I was really concerned about this because I saw the potential of a person in the detached garage, of homeowners in the front, the fifth wheel being occupied by somebody, and then the mobile home. the fact that the fifth wheel has been removed helps a great deal for me, because it kind of shows that it's not going to be turned back into sleeping quarters for their truck drivers and your business and stuff. So, which was my concern. With that, I vote aye.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 2, special use permit case number 24-3. Sir.
Hold on a minute, get the background.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Javier Barraza, Senior Planner, presenting the special use permit case number 24-03. I will try to make it as brief as the one previous. This is a request for a special use permit per Yuma County zoning ordinance, section 601.03I, to allow a golf course, clubhouse with bar and grill restaurant, putting greens, driving range, building for events, pro shop, and accessory buildings on 4 parcels, the total 249.88 gross acres in size, zone RA10, located in a foothills planning area with the previous mentioned intent. This is the zoning and vicinity map showing the subject parcels, parcel 8, 6, 10, and 2 Cross Hatch. We got different subdivisions surrounding the parcels. Also, a lot of properties are vacant in desert terrain. Again, subdivisions on the west and south, and open desert terrain on the east. Properties are accessed along 48th Street on south, and there's some RVS zone properties inside between the subject parcels. Let's see, this is an aerial view showing outline in red, the subject parcels, and if you see along 48th Street in yellow is the approximate location of the facilities being proposed. This is a blowout, 48th Street and Avenue 14.5E. Yellow is the proposed location of the facilities. This is the site plan and parking lot. Site plan. This is how you're looking west at 48th Street. Now looking east. This is looking northeast. The subject parcel from 48. Parking lot and the pro shop. Looking north, the subject parcel from 48th Street. We received some correspondence, 2 letters in support of the request from within the zoning area, 2 letters in support of the request from outside, 1 letter in opposition from outside the zoning area. Planning Commission recommends approval, subject to the following performance condition. The owner applicant shall record the following disclosure statement within 60 days, an ARS 12-1134 waiver, which is already in our possession, and a navigation and range disclosure statement. Also, the following operational conditions. The approval of the special use permit is based on the site plan submitted by the applicant. Any change from the site plan will require prior approval by the planning director. No outdoor repair or maintenance of golf cart is allowed. The repair and maintenance of golf carts shall occur inside the golf cart barn building. Outdoor storage of items must be screened from view with a side obscuring fence or wall of 6 to 7 feet in height. No items are allowed to protrude or to be visible above the side obscuring fence or wall. Number 4, the hours of operation of the driving range and clubhouse are restricted to the following time period, dawn until 1 a.m. Special events are restricted to the clubhouse area and or special events building, and no live entertainment music outside the clubhouse and or special events buildings allowed after 10 p.m. on weekdays, Monday through Thursday, and after 11 p.m. on Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays, and holidays. Chairman, that concludes staff's presentation, and staff concurs with the commission's recommendation.
A question, were all these restrictions worked out with the operators?
With the
applicant?
With the applicant, they were mentioned, once we send the staff report to them, they have time to reply to us, and there was no disagreement with them.
To abide by these rules. This is pretty restricted, as far as I'm concerned, but it's okay.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, to Tony's point, Mr. Chairman, Is that consistent with other areas? For example, Mesa del Sol, do they follow those same types of restrictions?
Mr. Chairman, I don't know anything about the other restriction. It was based on the first time this was brought up as a special use permit. 15.
Mesa del Sol doesn't have that type of setup.
Your stuff is by its own.
Yeah.
Mesa del Sol doesn't have the type of setup they're putting in.
Yeah.
Just
As
looking
far
for
as
some type of a
events.
comparison.
Yeah.
I've noticed, go ahead, Darren.
No, my question wasn't that we were talking, Andy, before. With the driving range and then the dark skies amendment in this same area, how are you going to deal with lighting for the driving range?
Our architect is here.
Oh, good question.
Hopefully something like Top Golf.
Gregor Markle, I'm a senior principal with Dahlin. I'm project architect. Address, I think, 501 West Broadway, San Diego. Thank you for allowing us to be here. To your question about the dark sky. So everything that we are doing, installing and designing has to comply with dark sky, which means that it's a fully shielded, fully cut off light. So all of that light is cut off and dropping down so that there is no visible or cast light out to the sides. For the driving range specifically, we have a set of poles that we're using, but this driving range is not meant to be illuminated for all, for visibility all night. It's really meant for pockets so that you can play and see your ball track. One of the things that we are doing as part of this driving range is we're implementing a TrackMan radar system. So that can see in the dark. So as you hit a ball, if you've ever watched PGA or LPGA tour events, they hit a ball, you see this line go through the air. We will have that at our driving range for this. So you'll be able to see everything that your ball does and actually get a lot more data out of it. What we want to do is illuminate the target so you can actually visibly pick that up, but that happens at a very low light level. And again, these lights are down fairly low and won't be, they're completely dark sky compliant and cut off. The idea is, we worked really hard to make sure that none of the adjacent neighbors or any of the people approaching on 48th would have any issues with glare or anything like that. This is not going to be lit up like a football stadium or anything like that. It's going to be very soft.
Yeah, because it's typically what you have on when you have a driving range, is those big lights that just light everything up.
They're trying to light they're treating it like a field, and they're trying to make the field like daytime at night, and that is not what we are doing. Part of our construction documents, we have completed a complete photometric, and we'll be submitting that to the building department for their review, along with our panel.
Interesting to see what it looks like.
We've actually got a side slideshow of pretty pictures if you guys want to see that, or if you want to wrap it up. We don't need to.
You can look at pretty pictures later.
I got the sense you guys want to move quickly, so we can
Like I
bypass
said, that was just my concern.
Well, you're ahead. It's the old rule.
I think it's a great use of
Ready
the
for
property.
Spoken like a true golfer.
I would love to have it ready for next week, and that would be fantastic.
Thank you.
Go forth and multiply.
I'll go ahead and open the call to the public, or the public hearing. Anybody from the public?
Don't all rush at once.
Bring it back to the board.
I'll make a motion, we approve special use permit number 24-03 as presented.
I'll second it as a bipartisan.
Tony, you gotta let Lynn do something.
Oh, Lynn? Oh,
That's okay, I'm good over there.
There's a motion and
Okay.
a second
Sorry, Lynn.
to approve special use permit case number 24-03. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Good luck.
Thank
Get
you.
it done. Thank you.
Night golf.
Forward to seeing it.
Night golf.
Woohoo.
We'll see you after.
All right.
It's not the low-tech glow-in-the-dark golf balls anymore.
Move on to
Good plan.
legislative issues.
I do this at the beginning because when you see Alejandro, it's like, let's go.
What's the time? What's the time?
It'd be interesting to see how it looks with that type of lighting.
Yeah.
Well,
They've been opening up night golf places all over Arizona
yeah,
with that type of lighting.
Yeah.
Oh, when I read the proposal there, it did say somewhere in there that it's applicable to
Night golf. Yeah.
other similar uses. There wasn't MCA's comments, that's why I asked.
Go ahead,
No
Alejandro.
comment.
We're picking on you today.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Alejandro Figueroa, Economic Development and Intergovernmental Affairs for Yuma County. So after more than 145 days of session now, there have been 1,763 bills introduced, out of which 260 have made their way to the governor's desk. The governor has signed 201 and vetoed a total of 59 bills. Also on the state level, after an extended break, the Arizona House is scheduled to return on June 4th. The House is expected to discuss the border bill when it returns. HCR 2060 was amended by the Senate on May 22nd. The amendment completely removed all provisions around DACA. These provisions specify that one's DACA status was not a defense of illegal entry if the program was canceled or overturned by a federal court. The amendment also added clear language around enforcement of illegal entry, specifically stating that the probable cause can only be established if one of the following provisions apply. A law enforcement officer witnesses the violation, there is a technological recording of the violation, or there is any other constitutional sufficient indication of probable cause. Lastly, the amendment clarifies that the illegal entry portion of the bill does not apply retroactively and will only be enforceable once the law takes effect. We have not heard of any new amendments being discussed in the House, and therefore it is likely that it will pass and be sent to the ballot. The Senate Education Committee met last week to discuss nominations, but the full body will not return until June 12th. Senate President Pearson has expressed his desire to get a budget passed soon after the Senate reconvenes later this month.
I have a question on that.
Go ahead.
Mr. Chair, Alejandro, is it, the speaker said that Speaker
Toma.
Toma,
Toma?
Toma, T-O-M-A.
Toma, yeah. Okay. He said that it was going to be permissive, not restrictive. So is it going to say may instead of shall? Or is it going to allow the counties to determine whether or not they're going to do this or not?
It's law enforcement.
And
It's up to them.
so is it worded, do we know if it's worded so that the law enforcement agency determines whether or not they do it, or is it going to be a requirement from the state level that says every county will do this and we have to provide the funding for it, which means, because there's no funding in it.
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Go ahead.
Along the lines of what the sheriff did previously by deputizing the federal agents to prosecute crimes that the U.S. Attorney General would not prosecute.
Mm-hmm.
This gives Leon the ability to do that in greater extent. But it's at his discretion.
And out of his budget.
He enforces the law.
I know,
Yes.
but it
Doesn't
I'm just
require. It
concerned.
doesn't require.
It doesn't require any money?
It doesn't require him to. Just gives him the ability to do it. He's already doing it. He's already cross-deputized and he's already prosecuting it. Maybe our.
So it's already being done, this just puts it in the statute?
Correct.
Or it would if it passes? Okay. Okay, I just have
He
concern.
cross-deputized in order to prosecute,
Mhm.
and he does it when he needs to do it. This just gives him expanded opportunities to do it.
Got it.
But specifically targeting fentanyl between ports.
No, I know. It is really bad. Uh-huh. Thank you.
So some important budget issues for counties, according to the CSA, considering that the legislature is now negotiating the budget with the governor's office. Phase out the Arizona Department of Juvenile Corrections fees for counties by 2028. According to the CSA, this cost shift is contrary to basic principles of good government, lacking proper alignment of resources and responsibilities. The CSA has proposed a sunset date outside of the budget window as a viable option. Also funding the state probation officer obligations while protecting the county general fund from bearing the state financial responsibility. The CSA does not consider this to be a county responsibility and considers that the state has the tools at its disposal to manage the problem. Third, no cost shifts to counties. Given the state's rainy day fund balance, which is currently greater than $1.4 billion, the CSA is urging state leaders to ensure that no policy is negotiated and that negotiated budget shifts costs and state obligations to the county taxpayer. Just a quick reminder, the CSA will be hosting its legislative summit on October 7th through the 19th of this year at Pinal County. The policy proposals from the counties are due August the 5th, so if the board has any recommendations or any issues that would like for staff to look into and possibly bring back to the board for consideration, feel free to let me know. On the federal side, President Joe Biden expected to issue a sweeping new executive order aimed at curbing migrant arrivals at the U.S.-Mexico border as early as Tuesday. The executive order would use Section 212, Section F of the Immigration and Nationality Act and may limit as few as 4,000 daily border crossings over the course of a week as a metric. Once that number is reached, immigration officials could swiftly deport migrants who enter the U.S. illegally without processing their asylum request. That, in turn, will allow border officials to limit the amount of migrant arrivals. Some mayors from border cities from Texas are expected to be in Washington for the president's announcement tomorrow. On the international front, Mexico held its largest election in history yesterday, Sunday, June the 2nd. Claudia Sheinbaum is projected to win Mexico's presidential election and become the first woman to lead the country's government, according to official preliminary results. The climate scientist and Mexico City's former mayor rode the wave of popularity of her longtime political ally, outgoing Mexican President Andrés Manuel López Obrador, and their Morena party. Sheinbaum holds a degree in physics and a master's and doctorate in energy and engineering. She was born in Mexico City in 1962, and she has 2 children and 1 grandchildren. President Biden congratulated Claudia Sheinbaum on her presidential win, stating, and I quote, "I look forward to working closely with President-elect Sheinbaum in the spirit of partnership and friendship that reflects the enduring bonds between our 2 countries." Legislative impact. The election results also significantly impacted local elections and the composition of Congress in Mexico. Morena is expected to achieve a qualified majority in the Chamber of Deputies and likely also in the Mexican Senate. The opposition suffered losses in several key states, including Mexico City, Veracruz, Puebla, and Yucatan. Potential constitutional changes. These outcomes may have paved the way for constitutional changes based on the fact that the Morena party and its allies will have the majority in Congress. Bringing it down to the region, Mexicali incumbent Mayor Norma Alicia Bustamante won re-election with 45% of the vote. In San Luis Rio Colorado, Cesar Iván Sandoval Gámez of Morena, formerly the Director of Municipal Water, will be the new mayor in San Luis Rio Colorado.
Who's that?
Cesar Iván Sandoval Gámez. He's with Morena.
Morena.
Yeah. And then former Mayor Santos González Yescas lost his bid for the state legislature in Sonora to Juan Pablo Areníbar Martínez of the PAN-PRI-PRD Alliance. That will conclude my presentation to the board today, Mr. Chairman.
Any questions?
Just a comment, not many surprises. Actually, the only thing that surprised me is the supermajority reach, because that was the plan C. That was to me the test, not that's worrisome a little bit. When they make constitutional changes like that, they can actually change the pattern. But yeah, that's the second. So I wasn't sure, and I'm still not sure yet what the final outcome is going to be. Those were preliminary results, but if that holds, it's going to be difficult to manage for the imposition.
Any other questions for Alejandro? Thank you, Alejandro.
Thank you, Mr.
Events, calendar, current events.
Okay.
Go ahead, Liz.
I just have, I attended the ADEQ PM10 workshop. It was an all-day event, and out at the convention center, and then I attended my YMPO meeting. That's it.
Participated in the discussion with Mr. Dorn.
Oh,
So did you, Lynn?
yes, I did. I'm sorry. Missed that one.
And then hosted the speaker here this last weekend.
Just a bunch of meetings with people throughout my district over issues that are going on.
And I want to take the opportunity to congratulate all the graduates everywhere, because I went to a bunch of graduation events, and I didn't have much of a chance to report on them, but congratulations to everyone and their parents and their friends and their relatives for graduating their kids. And I did try to attend the Great Human Port Authority, got there a little late after one of these graduations, but other than that, I was off the grid.
Real quick, one other thing.
Go ahead.
Just to throw out there, a big shout out to all the fire personnel that responded out to Martinez Lake during the holiday weekend to fight
Oh,
that fire
my
out at the refuge. That was quite huge, and I just want to give a good, big shout out to all of them that responded to that and helped with it.
Is it under control now, finally?
Pretty much, but it did do a lot of stuff. Sorry about that.
I was not much this past week. Just want to say thanks to all the folks that sent their condolences to. Nothing else, Ian?
Thank you, Chairman. YSIPTA Board of Directors meeting. Met with Campesinos Sin Fronteras regarding their Community Resilience Hub. A couple of meetings with our lobbying firm. Attended the 98th Yuma County Drug Court graduation ceremony. GYPA Greater Yuma Port Authority Board of Directors. The local Workforce Development Board Staff and Service Providers meeting. And the GYEDC meeting. Thank you.
All right. Meeting adjourned.
MGAS got to comment.